Welcome back to Earthbound. We're deep in Magicant, in Ness's mind. We've made it to the Sea of Eden, the core of all bad, vile thoughts. That's a Kraken. So, in the Sea of Eden, Krakens are here. These are the exact same enemy as the one that you fought on the boat.
Can I outrun it?
No.
Do you want me to fight it?
No. These are the exact same enemy as the one that you fought on. You can't despawn them either. You may either have to just wander away or get him stuck on something. Head left. So you can kind of get him stuck on things if you need to. You're heading left.
Always to the left?
Yep. Get far enough away that he'll leave you alone. Head north.
Yeah, when you get a second.
That's our destination. All we have to do is get there.
It reminds me a little too much of like Alien Isolation here, where you're just like, we're almost to a save point. Oh! Nope.
Face him. A Kraken! As I said before, this is the exact same fight as before. This guy has, at this point, not nearly as bad, but 1,097 HP, 176 PP, offensive 105, defense 166. He will cast Fire Gamma, cancel PSI effects, Thunder Beta, Flash Beta, and then just hit you with a Tornado. Like, you can kill him. It's not the worst thing imaginable.
Almost 80k experience.
Yeah. But it's a hard fight and not something you want to do if you don't have to. Fun note. These Krakens in here have a 1 in 128 chance of dropping the Gutsy Bat.
No, I think it's a different one. Everyone gets this wrong. Like, it's a different Kraken that drops it later.
There is no Kraken later.
The Bionic Krakens.
Oh yeah, there is that one.
They're the ones that drop in.
See, I see it as, it's what the player's guide says.
Yeah, the player's guide's wrong.
Okay. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time.
It's always been like that. Everyone tends to get it wrong. It's like these Krakens just don't drop anything. It's the Bionic Krakens later on that actually drop the bat.
Let me go look into that. Yep, right there, I see it. Alright, you got it. In with the information. These guys drop nothing.
Yeah. Well, this looks familiar.
Yeah, this is something we've seen before.
Should I talk to it?
I mean, I know you don't want to, but you probably should.
I forced you into being what?
I mean, it's us that created him.
Ness dies. Oh, well.
That's amazing. Ness's Nightmare. Ness's Nightmare has 1,654 HP, 882 PP, offensive 172, defensive 253, speed of 31, guts of 1. He starts the fight with a PSI shield up. And he can cast Hammer Alpha, Hammer Omega, Life Up Beta, Shield Beta, and Flash Omega. The glorious light that you saw was Flash Omega. And this is the one that just kind of kills you. Yeah, so get that life up off as soon as possible. Like, you can eat a Hammer Alpha, but Hammer Omega will do between 600 and 900 damage.
It's insta-kills.
Like, it insta-kills you. It doesn't really matter. So if you get hit by it, You just have to get that life up off as fast as possible. Mortal damage. Because we're already dead.
Done.
Hey! Thankfully, your damage output is also pretty darn good. When you can do like 300 damage a hit, 600 a smash, and the guy's only got 1600 HP.
It's a lot of experience there, too.
Yep. Oh, and that's not the end of it.
I killed my evil side. Was that good? I'm not really certain. That's me. Wait, am I talking?
That's...
I like to imagine one of them's just like sitting next to you right now going like, what happened?
You doing okay there, dude? You also look a lot buffer.
Dun, dun, dun. This is 12-year-old kid who's like buff like a JoJo's character in the first part. Yep, I'm still 12.
Well, look how buff they were in part 3 when Jotaro was like friggin' 16 or something.
I think he was 17. That's the whole point with like the censorship in the anime, that he smokes, but he's under 18.
Yeah. So to Saturn Valley! And guess what I can do?
I like I didn't even have to do that.
So Ness is super buff.
Oh yeah. Especially considering the fact he's the one that got all the experience, so now he's like at minimum 9 levels in front of everyone.
And it's interesting. It's interesting because...
God, how much PP he has.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, damn. Like, Paula doesn't even come close, and she's the one that has the next highest stat. Look at his luck stat. We don't even have the rabbit's foot on. That's just his normal stat now.
Yeah, it's only a pity that luck doesn't do a lot.
He actually outspeeds Paula now.
Like,
by, like, 1 point.
Like, the couple things that you would think luck would do, like, does luck affect how often your attacks hit? No, that's hard-coded. Does luck affect how often your attacks miss? Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Does it affect how often you get crits? No, that's your guts stat. Like, so what does luck do? Is it, perhaps, how often you dodge attacks? Maybe. Could be. So, like, maybe that's his evasion up. Could it be... Or the only other one that I've found that I think is for sure tied to it, even though we don't need it now.
The baddest beam.
I have the baddest beam. It is the baddest of beams.
As in, it's really bad now.
Yeah, I think the only thing for sure that it does is it makes you... Ness, especially since he can't use Jeff's tools, it effectively makes him immune to those tools.
Damn, that's just like... I feel like everyone in the party should have close to this amount.
Yeah, I'm
not saying it should be overwhelming,
well,
obviously.
I'm love-hate with this power boost that Ness got. Because on one hand, that was an amazing feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you've done through... It's everything you've been working for.
One thing I've been meaning to talk about this whole time, and I held off, I really should talk about it last time, but I think it was better to talk after this whole thing, was that I thought the entire game, like the meteorite scene,
yeah,
was the first time that Ness got psychic powers. Well, like, that was like the whole, he touches it, he gets psychic powers from that. And that scene with the baby in the crib, when they note that, hey, he just pointed at the bottle and it moved.
Yeah.
No, you've had psychic powers your whole time. You've just been holding back on them. Buzz kind of helped awaken them, and the meteorite probably did too.
And
but
you haven't had a real need to use them, so you haven't had a way to, like, craft them or make them stronger. It's just been kind of a weird quirk about you.
And then the whole time, it's kind of been like, well, he's not as good in a lot of things. Like, Pooh still had better healing options. Minus Life Up Omega, but Pooh's not supposed to get that. Like, Pooh can revive people, he's still got a better shield than you. And everything, like, everyone else was better at other things other than Ness is just like, I can heal, and, like, various other things. Like, he didn't even have teleport beta.
Yeah.
Pooh had it. But then all of a sudden, you do Magicant, and then he finally gets over his last hurdle, blocking him from his psychic abilities, and then boosh, he just gets so much more powerful.
Yeah, and it's over the course of this adventure.
Like, I'm pretty sure you can't get Hammer, or you can't get PSI Rocking / whatever you name it, Omega, until after you do that. I know you can't get Teleport Beta until after you do that.
And, like, over the course of the whole game, there's been this growth, where he's, at the start of the game, the very beginning, you didn't know any PSI. The very first fight you got in, you didn't know any PSI.
Yeah.
And it's only kind of, like, so maybe you've been able to do some weird things, talk to animals, move a baby bottle. But you haven't really had anything, and it's only over the course of this adventure that he's starting to experience and learn about himself and figure out what's going on and how it's going on. And awaken to his PSI. But it wasn't until after Magicant that his mind was completely awoken. Everything that he was capable of, he's now aware of. Like, the full stretches of his mental prowess he has access to. And just that moment of, like, this is what you've been working towards all game. is getting all of the melodies to get the Soundstone working. When you finally got that, you're in Magicant. Now, what's the goal of Magicant? Beating up your evil half. You beat up your evil half, and what do you get? Like, that's what we're building towards. That's what it was. And just that moment of Ness glowing white with all the power from all the various things reaching into you and increasing your power, and you're like, just that raw power boost. And it's in a way that's physically, you can feel it as a player. It's not like a story-based thing, where they say, like, oh, something happened, or like his personality changes, he gets more mature, or whatever. Like, it's not, it reflects on gameplay. It reflects on your direct way of interacting with the game, is giving you all these stat boosts. So not only does, like, plot-wise it feels good, but as a player, it feels good. And you get all of those, and you get the experience points, and the friggin' Hammer Omega, that you're like, holy crap, look at this noise! Amazing feeling. And that's why, like I say, I have a love-hate relationship with it, because it's an amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing feeling. The hate of it is nobody else gets that.
Yeah.
Which means now you get out of this, and Ness is an absolute beast. He's a monster. And at this point, like everybody else, is almost holding him back.
It is a bit of a kind of a downside to the whole thing,
Yeah.
really.
And on top of that, plot-wise, it didn't really have any significance. This is perhaps the biggest kicker. Like, gameplay-wise, no one else got that boost. So everyone else now kind of feels like they're holding Ness back from a gameplay perspective.
Especially considering that Pooh already had to leave to get a boost himself.
Yeah. Like...
God, this must be what it feels like when you're Goku and everyone else is just like the human characters.
This is what Vegeta feels like when Goku comes back with a new friggin' form of Super Saiyan, and you're like, what?
Guys, I got Super Saiyan Blue Omega. What? What is this bullshit, Kakarot? Anyway.
Yeah, so, from a gameplay perspective, that's kind of a crappy feeling. From a story perspective, it didn't do anything. We just spent the entire... I mean, granted, we were making bonds of friendship and meeting people along the way, like Dr. Andonuts and Apple Kid, and the Mr. Saturns.
I think the problem with it is that it makes no sense up until after you're doing the final stuff. Because then it kind of goes like, oh, this is where all the threads connect into each other.
Yeah, for me, it feels like we just went through all of that. And yes, we got a massive power boost for Ness, but plot-wise, it didn't do anything. Plot-wise, all we got after what we spent the entire game going towards was go to Saturn Valley, where some other guys are working on getting you ahead the rest of the plot. And this is something that would have happened whether or not you had that power boost or not.
Especially considering the whole point is that Buzz gave you the stone to go to the spots. And it's like the whole point is that they wanted to awaken your... Like, in the bad future was the whole point you weren't as awakened as you were then you just died, and then Gygas took over. And it's like, now you're just the big buff boy, this big psychic buff boy, and now you can actually hold off Gygas.
Yeah, so, yeah, how I see it is... A, that's a good point. That's actually not something that I'd thought about. Is perhaps without that Soundstone and that buff from it, the power of the Earth itself coming into you, you wouldn't have had the power to take down Gygas. So maybe that's part of it. And the other part of it, and this will be even more important later on...
Because, I mean, like it said in the whole thing, it's like, the Soundstone's gone.
Yeah.
It's not in our inventory anymore.
And the other thing, and this will be more important later on, is actually the bonds we've made along the way. And in that regard, it's not even necessarily that the Soundstone itself did something, but it's that the Soundstone led us along this journey and meeting people and friends that help us get where we need to go. Apple Kid never would have met Dr. Andonuts. He never would have discovered that Gygus was that great villain. He never would have worked with them to build the phase distorter. They never would have met the Mr. Saturns. And that's only the beginning of it. We'll see more on that later. So we've been talking for a little while, but I feel like that was a lot of reflection.
Yeah, it was
after an important event.
As much as I would have liked to start talking to these guys and get the plot rolling again, we kind of needed a moment to
yeah, and I feel like now is actually, unless you actually kick this off. Hey, how about that?
I think you have to talk to Dr. Andonuts to
yeah,
activate
so I'll say, until next time, everyone, when we kick this last story off, we're done with the Soundstone, we're done visiting the power points of the planet. It's time to go on the offensive. We're also very rich. It's time to go on the offensive. Which means at this point we're doing everything we can to find and stop Gygus. Until next time, everyone.